This podcast contains potentially adult language, adult themes, definitely drinking, and possibly sexual context. Listener discretion is advised.
Welcome to Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I am your host, Erica Lance. My co-host today is the presently embarrassed Honey Cummings. Just kidding. It's Valerie Willis, same person.
Me, but I don't know if my face is red because of the Honey Cummings stuff or because I'm really drunk. But we're okay. It was rapid fire questions. We got
this. It is. You've got to take your hand off from the front of your face, though. We've talked about this because then nobody can fucking hear you. Okay. Our sponsor today is Skunk Brothers Spirits, coupon code DWA10. Check them out. They're absolutely amazing. And you're fucking listening to us. So like and subscribe. Hit those buttons. We need that. We love that. Okay, so for today, our amazing guest is a graphic novelist, Dennis Robinson.
Woo!
See, all I've been able to think about since right before you hit the record button is when you said the thing about Sasquatch is the line from Anchorman where they say it smells like Bigfoot's dick. So now that's all I can think about. So thank you for that.
Well, the fun part of Honeycombing's Sasquatch story is it's a shifter story. It's an erotica shifter story for anybody who wants to check this out. And he can't shift back unless he has sex.
But his buddy who had a similar issue said, well, you know, it happened to me in Yellowstone, but I found some hippie chicks. Oh man, and he's like, I'm in the middle of a national forest and you guys just abandoned me. And his buddy goes, it's okay, I'll put it in a Craigslist ad.
I mean,
humorous shifter erotica. Okay, moving on to your rapid fire. Oh wait, we gotta talk about what we're drinking.
Oh, that's true.
I am finishing up because I found more of this. This is my Angry Orchard hard fruit cider, which is passion fruit and pineapple infused or whatever the fuck. It's really, really yummy and not too sweet. So I'm loving this. Val, what are you drunk on right now?
Barefoot has a fruscata. And I picked the apple, and I just opened it, and I'm almost done. I'm almost done, Erica. I'm eating it. I'm drinking it in dust boots. I'm good.
If anybody wants to put a comment in on how quote unquote good you think Val is at this moment in time to this episode, I would love to see that because I know where I'm betting. Dennis, what are you drinking?
I am drinking my second can of Twisted Tea, the beverage of social justice.
Social justice?
You've seen that video, right?
No.
You haven't seen the video? There's literally, it's like a convenience store where African-American guys buying Twisted Tea and some white guys being super racist buying them. And he literally beats the crap out of the guy with the Twisted Tea can. So like it was like Twisted Tea blew up after that because they're like, what is this Twisted Tea? So now I'm like, it's the drink of social justice.
So is that a malt liquor, much like your Four Loko that you discussed earlier?
I don't know if it's a malt liquor.
Does it have an actual liquor described in the ingredients, such as vodka or something?
Let me see here. Where are the ingredients? I know it's brewed with real tea.
Very tiny under all the numbers.
I was gonna say, where are the other numbers? It doesn't. Oh, it actually says the number of calories on the can. I never even noticed that. I don't see anywhere on this can where it says the ingredients.
So that's malt liquor. So cool. I appreciate that.
Okay.
Just for the record, anybody listening, if you ever wonder,
oh, it is malt. It says malt beverage with tea, natural flavors, and artificial sweeteners.
Yeah. If you ever wonder if it does not say this has liquor, rum, whatever the fuck in it, it is malt liquor. Okay. And I appreciate. So pretty much you're just drinking Four Locos with tea. So well done with that.
It's not. It's only 4%. Four Locos like 12. Like you got to drink a lot of this to get.
The Four Locos like 1,200%.
I know. You only need one and you're good.
Yeah. Okay. Rapid fire questions. Now that we got past the ingredients on your beverage, what is your favorite book of all time?
Sadly, it's probably Where the Red Fern Grows, even though I hate it.
Oh my God. I love that book. I talk about it all the time.
So another side for you, not to get derailed on your rapid fire questions. I guessed it on another D&D podcast called Adventure Incorporated, where it was a Wishbone-esque adventure where they all played dogs in the Wishbone universe, and they had to make sure books, they were the guardians of books. And so I made them go into where the red fern grows, and they had to make everything happen in the book. So they had to make sure the dogs died in the book. Like, it was
Okay, spoiler alert for anybody who hasn't watched that movie, which by the way still holds up, and sees the book. It is very much like an Old Yeller situation.
I was gonna say, is it spoiler alert? It's like 30 years old at this point.
You know, but a lot of people, some of this stuff is not brought up. This is one thing that's huge to me. There are some classics that people talk about all the time, but there are some amazing stories. That is a great fucking story about what that kid did. I love that story.
But if you can't handle dogs dying, do not read that book. You will cry and cry.
It's on the website. Does a dog die? I forget what the name of the website, but there's a website like that literally you can look up if you don't like whether or not dogs die, and it tells you in books and movies whether a dog gets killed.
We have something similar that we have to do. So on Monday nights, we do a bad movie night. And one of our co-hosts, each of us picks a movie each week on Amazon Prime. And so now he has to go to a website where you find out if the movie has sexual assault, because he accidentally keeps picking movies where that happens. So now he checks to see if the movie he's going to pick has it, so he can avoid it.
Yeah, otherwise you got to do trigger warnings
for
anybody watching. Okay, what is your least favorite book of all time?
Least favorite book of all time.
Who's taking some time? I'm having another bit.
That's a tough one. I do have one. What the hell is it called? What is it?
What was it about?
It's about that, like, it's banned in a lot of schools. It's about like a kid. There's a hooker in
every fucking book right now.
I know, but it's like no. This was banned like 20. Like they were trying to ban it like 20 years ago. It's about a kid. It's a coming of age story where like there's hookers involved. Kid's kind of a dick. He dodges the draft by cutting off one of his toes. Oh, what is it called? Oh, I'm at a loss.
This is a terrible sound.
Okay, that's fine. It'll come to you. Well, we're gonna move on.
Missing toes is a bad combo.
I don't remember.
It is a bad combo. Okay, what is your favorite book to TV show or movie, like that you think they did it really well?
Shawshank Redemption is my favorite movie of all time. So I'm going to go with that one because it was a book. I don't know how well it was translated from book to movie. I know Stephen King wasn't the biggest fan of it, but it's my favorite movie of all time, and it was a book, so I'm going to go with that.
Did you read the book?
I did not read the book.
Okay, well, that doesn't fucking count. You guys, I love Shawshank Redemption. Brilliant, very well cast movie. But you got to pick something you actually read the book and then you saw the movie and didn't fucking hate it.
Series.
Or TV show.
There's so many out there.
I know.
I know. I love
Lord of the Rings. Lord of the Rings.
Okay. There's many people that have said
I have not managed to finish Lord of the Rings, but I did read The Fellowship and I did watch The Fellowship, so it counts.
It does count. There's a lot of walking in those books.
It's a lot of description.
There's a lot of trees and there's a lot of walking, and luckily Jen's not on here because she'd yell because she teaches that.
Oh, you know what? Great Gatsby. I really don't like that book.
Okay, good. I'm glad you circled back. That doesn't.
That's not the book I was thinking of. But
okay,
don't like that book.
What about where you think they took a book and did a fucking terrible job with the movie or TV show?
Thor: Love and Thunder. So for me, one of the I don't read a ton of comic books, which is funny because I write them, but like Thor the God Butcher was a series that I did read and I really loved it. And it was really cool because there were 3 different Thors. Like you had old Thor, regular Thor, and then super young and mature Thor. And you had the story of this guy who his family was killed because of neglect by gods. And he went out on this like rampage where he just was murdering everybody. And it was like this really cool time travel adventure mixed with like religion and all this stuff. And then the movie kind of just crammed too much in a small time frame.
As pop culture joy as we can be.
Yeah, and like then they added Mighty Thor, which is a story where Jane Foster gets cancer in the comics, and whenever she wields Mjolnir, she doesn't like it keeps the cancer at bay, but also Mjolnir is killing her. So it's like this whole thing where, by using Mjolnir, she doesn't have cancer, but then as soon as she stops wielding it, she's dying faster. So it's this whole thing. And they took that really cool storyline and then shoved that in the movie too. So yeah, I would say Thor: Love and Thunder, I really disliked, how they changed the book to the movie, I would say.
As a reader,
Okay.
what is your pet peeve? Like, what will make you stop reading immediately? Like for Mark Muncy, it's Alabaster Skin. The moment he reads that, he's like, oh, I'm done. I'm out. This is Jane Austen territory.
For me, when I'm reading, I check out if you establish a character one way and then you immediately have them do a bunch of crap that doesn't make any sense for that character to do. Like, I'm very much somebody who's tied into story and character. And if a character does a bunch of stuff that doesn't make any sense to the story or to the character themselves, I just check out because I'm like, no, like that doesn't make any sense. Like, there's no way that person would do that in that instance. Like, if you're going to do something that's totally out of character, that's cool, but you have to make it fit within the world or the story or something. There needs to be a reason for it, not just like, meh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with my books, not to do a shameless plug, but my one of the things that I love,
It's your podcast.
one of the things that I love about my editor is that she gets how the characters are. And if I do something in the book, she's like, I don't think the character would do that here. I think the character would do this here. And then I'm like, you know what? You're right. And then change it around. So that's my new editor. I love that about her, is that she really gets a good grasp of like my characters and what is believable or not believable with them. And so then she can kind of keep me, sort of in check a little bit. Yeah. So that's one of my big pet peeves, is just screwing around with story and character. Huh?
Do you finish them?
Sorry, say that again.
Finish your book. Will you finish it even if you get to that point where you're like, I fucking hate everything going on? Will you still finish the book?
Oh yeah, I'm stubborn as hell. Like I'm too invested at this point. I'm definitely. Oh, you mean finish a book that I read?
Yeah.
Oh no, I won't. I'll just be like, I'm done. I don't even care what happens to the rest of the book.
Good, because it's a gigantic fucking waste of time to finish a book. You've already given them the money. They got what they needed from it. What about reviews? So have reviews started to come in on book one?
So not on their own. I reach out to podcasts and I'm like, hey, would you be interested in reviewing the book? So I'll reach out to Comic Book Podcast typically, and I'll be like, hey, here's a free digital copy of the book. Would you be willing to give it a review? And so there have been about a half a dozen to a dozen reviews that have come in so far.
Sir, I will tell you, you better have a newsletter and remind your newsletter emailers to leave a review. I went from like 16 after struggling for 5 years doing it that way, of bloggers and podcast, to within a year of doing a newsletter and sending a reminder every other couple of months to 62. So newsletters, where is it?
Kelly doesn't have a newsletter, Val. So
Lori, I'm done.
Well, so I don't have a newsletter. I do a mailing list. Is that similar?
that's the same thing. Are you asking them for reviews?
No, I haven't done that yet. So the mailing list is only 18 people right now. I don't know where I would have them leave a review. I think Kickstarter actually has a review space.
Good read.
But I have to double check.
Are the books not available on Amazon and stuff like that yet?
They're available digitally on Amazon. The reason I don't put them physically on Amazon is Amazon does what is it called? Print
on demand.
Print on demand. And from what I understand, print on demand is terrible quality. Like for comic books anyways, like they do really bad quality for print on demand. They also take like 70%. So it's like a whole
We're going to talk separately offline because there's a couple things you should be doing to get into the dollar bill y'all space, which you need to do. Okay. I'm going to ask a Danielle question because she's not here, but I love this question. She'll just get mad when she listens to the episode, depending on your answer.
We love you, Danielle.
Is if you would have to choose one of these three things because you're going to prove it's real. So you're going to run into one of these things just to prove it's real, right?
Okay.
Loch Ness Monster, aliens, UFOs, aliens, or Sasquatch, Bigfoot.
Okay.
He's thinking this isn't a blip in the technical.
I'm gonna parse this answer. It's not Sasquatch. Okay. It's not that one, which I know is very disappointing to Valerie. The most interesting would be aliens, but I like dinosaurs, so Loch Ness Monster. So I'm
so now you're not gonna make her mad. She's firmly convinced that, I keep sending her because they keep getting new photographic evidence of the Loch Ness Monster. I keep sending it to her. I don't care what time of day it is, I'll forward her the story. Because I watched a whole entire little mini documentary that said what Loch Ness actually is that people were seeing are giant blue whale dicks, which was the most hysterical thing to me. But I can't tell her, she gets fucking mad when I talk about that. So.
The latest article I've read is it's a giant eel. There's like giant eels in the bottom of the lake there.
That doesn't make any fucking sense. But anyway,
found DNA in the water.
Stop trying to explain things to us, biologists. We don't want your nature that's real. Fuck that shit. What is your favorite genres to read? What genres do you read? Since you write comic books and apparently don't read a lot of them, what do you read?
My favorite genre to read anyways are mystery, I would say. Especially whodunits. I love trying to figure out who did something or didn't do something and then being completely surprised by the end. So I'd say mysteries are typically my favorite sort of genre of stories.
So are you that way with mystery movies as well?
I don't know if mystery movies are my favorite movie, but I do love.
No, I mean, do you enjoy mystery movies?
Oh yeah, no, yeah, I love mystery movies. Like what's the movie with it's got an all-star cast. It's poo-pooed on now because it's got Kevin Spacey in it, but The Usual Suspects. Like, I really enjoyed that movie. The original Clue movie. Like, I would have loved to have seen that in theaters because depending on what theater you went to, you got a different ending of the movie. Whereas I saw it on DVD, so you got all the endings. I think that'd be really fascinating to see. They're
redoing Clue. Did you hear that? They're redoing it.
Have you seen Logan Lucky? That's a good one.
I have not. The movie, there's like 3 whodunit movies that I want to see that I haven't gotten around to. Knives Out, Death on the Nile. And then there's another one with Kenneth Branagh. It's like a train or something like that. I forget what it's called. But that's also
Murder on the Orient Express. It's not that one, right?
I think it's that one, Murder on the Orient Express.
Yeah, Knives Out was pretty good actually.
That's what I heard.
I
want comedy, Logan Lucky.
Okay.
Especially when you got what is his name? The 007 guy, Daniel
Craig.
Yes, he plays as a redneck convict called Joe Bang.
Oh, okay.
And you're like, why you got gummy bears and sugar? He goes, this is science here. Can't make a bomb out of gummy bears. He's like, yes, you can. And he starts like going through.
Oh, Val is drunk. She likes this movie though. Okay, Val, you get to ask a question. I'm afraid of what that means, but please do so.
If you could be any supernatural being, which one would you choose and why? You write werewolves, but that doesn't necessarily mean you'd prefer to be a werewolf.
I mean, I know a lot of really messed up supernatural beings, so I don't know if I'd want to be any of them. So, you know what? I'm going to go with werewolf just because they're cool.
Which kind of werewolf, though?
Which kind of werewolf?
There are so many different kinds of werewolves.
There are many, many, many kinds. You know what? I'm gonna go with. Oh, man, do I want to go with that just because it's goofy? The Rougarou is really funny to me.
Yes,
it's so stupid the rules that it has, but it's really funny to me. Like you can literally not die to a rougarou if you just put a certain number of items on your porch because it can't count past a certain number, gets confused, and it
is
leaves.
13 pennies,
13,
sir, because he has 12 fingers.
That's
I'm a
right.
rougarou expert, sir. Because I'm eventually gonna write raunchy with a rougarou. But
By the way, I remember that book that I didn't like. It was The Catcher in the Rye.
oh,
It was okay.
that's one of
Okay,
those
The way you described that book, I would have never got The Catcher in the Rye. I've read
That's
The
all I
Catcher
remember.
in the
I
Rye.
remember there's a hooker, and I remember he cuts off his toe to dodge the draft. That's all I can remember from that book. It was
Oh
a
my
long
God.
time.
I would have never gotten Catcher in the Rye from your
I-
obscure. We should do a podcast called Obscure Book Descriptions and see if people can get them by listing weird fucking shit. And maybe it's not
I
the main
literally
storyline of the
had
book.
to I looked up list of banned books and went year by year by year and had to get all the way to 2009 before I found it. And I was like, oh, there it is, Catcher in the Rye.
Oh wow.
If you like the rougarou, there's a new documentary that came out where they
Move
go to
your
the
hand
different
away
little.
from your face.
Well, sorry.
I didn't know that.
So there's a new documentary about the rougarou called Howl of the Rougarou, and they go to the different little towns in that area. And it's interesting because within that small little swampy section, there's 8 different variants of the rougarou. So and then people are talking about their eyewitness accounts. One woman swears her uncle was one. It's interesting and a fun little jaunt into the history there. So
Can I level with you, Valerie?
yes.
Twice I thought you said documentary. And I was like, okay.
This is the wine talk.
Just saying.
Just saying.
You again stumbled upon one of Valerie's. I've been researching this, so she goes fucking ape shit.
Well, I mean, she writes, lycanthropy books. Of course, she's going to be a huge expert on.
Oh, it's not just lycanthropy, my love.
Oh no. The recent dive is Caribbean-based mythology, like the Duin and the Seguapas and La Diablis. And what's the Papa Boy? Oh, Mama Delo and Papa Boy.
Are you familiar, even though this is nowhere near where you were talking, the Leshy?
Yes.
It's one of my favorite mythological creatures.
It's Slavic.
Yes. Do you know? So third party who's not in the loop here. Do you know what a Leshy is?
No. Ask
It's
me.
It's a tree thing the Witcher fights.
No. Trust me, it's great. It's a tickle monster that tickles you to death. And the way that you get out of it is you put your clothes on backwards and you put your shoes on the opposite feet. Why? I don't know. That's just the mythology.
That's why I geeked out over that moment in what is it?
Everything Everywhere All at Once?
Once, and the first thing she has to do. Yep.
Yeah. Sorry.
So I don't remember what it's called. Valerie's going to. So when I was in South Africa, I went to Cape Town, and they told me of a legend down there. And see, she's going to try to remember it as I'm telling this story. But there is a creature down there that's a short little creature, and the legend is you have to put your bed up on bricks, like you have to raise your bed above the ground, because it eats. It starts by eating at your toes, but because people would sleep on the ground so much, they die, and it was because of this creature.
It's the Tekoloshi, so it has that leshy sound to it, but it's Tekoloshi there.
See, you just learned something from me, which you didn't think you would, because I'm not the research person, but they explained this to me, and I was like, so let me get this straight. But if you go into people's houses there, and I'm talking pretty much everyone has these bricks under their beds.
It's just
so
like
that the creature can't get to them.
In New Orleans.
It's one of those things where.
Okay. What is your favorite weird food combination?
Favorite weird food combination?
Didn't expect that question on.
I did not. That is a left turn. I have one too. What is it? I've been drinking now. It's hard to remember.
It's not true, Scribe. Get your shit together.
I get a lot of shit for this. Mustard and French fries.
It is
See?
That
weird.
sounds terrible. That sounds
See?
horrific.
Well, have you ever had vinegar on French fries? It's a Pittsburgh
Yes.
thing.
Malt vinegar
See?
with fish and chips.
See, mustard has like a vinegary taste to me, not super.
And then it
vinegary.
has the mustard taste, which is
Yeah.
not vinegar.
It's not vinegar.
Yeah, fun aside. So I tried what the hell is that calorie counting fucking it's Nutrisystem. They always have it for NFL or whatever. So I tried it out once just to see how this thing works. All it is they just fucking starve you. That's all it is. But so you can have as many fruits and vegetables as you want as long as it's within this list of fruits and vegetables. So for me, I don't really like to eat a lot of vegetables except for celery. So there's only so many sticks of celery you can eat before you get bored. So I was literally putting mustard on celery for some sort of flavoring because mustard doesn't have any calories in it. So that didn't last very long before I was just like, I can't. I can't with this anymore.
You know, they do say that eating celery will change how a man tastes.
Celery? It's just water.
Celery.
You're just chewing water.
I'm just saying, if you do your research,
Celery
you
and it-
fucking research hounds, eating celery changes the taste of male
See, I've heard pineapple, but I've never
Nope.
heard celery.
celery.
Celery. Is it good or bad?
Good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Okay. So I learned that. So now that I've got Val embarrassed again, and I didn't even bring up anything fucking having to do with her, but I do want that included in my erotica story you're writing about me. So I need you to write that down.
Why is this guy always carrying around celery everywhere? It's
The
weird.
siren or the mermaid?
It's a siren.
Okay.
Anyway, so Valerie writes some of her stories based on real people in her life.
Sure.
So for those of us
I
that can wear it
asked-
with a badge of honor, I'm like, cool. And then there are others that are fucking embarrassed as hell because that's what
That's a
happens.
story.
It is just a story that involves, fornication with a ghost, whatever.
That's fine.
So Val, if you can recover yourself, I want to give you the last epic question.
I get the last epic.
I thought that was
question.
leading into a question, to be honest. Like you were setting up this.
No,
like
no.
I thought your
seriously
question was going to
started-
be, do you ever add people you know into your stories or something like that?
Well,
Like I
I'll
thought that's
ask
where
that
you were going
question
with
because it's going to take a while for Val to think of her fucking question. Trust
I'm
me.
done. I have this little bit left, and I'm done.
You're done drinking, but you're actually co-hosting, so you have to participate in the podcast, which I've told you many
it. No,
times.
it's fine. I finished. I completed it. I win. I win the
I
game.
win.
It's
I'm
fine.
done.
She's like,
I
I'm
win.
done. She just
I
walks
win the
away.
race. Nope, she just gets up and leaves. Leaves meeting. Done. Okay.
That's okay. She's gonna go upstairs and she's gonna see her husband. And he's gonna be like, "You're hanging out with Erica again, weren't you?" So it's fine. So do you use your real life people in your stories? Well, Val
Yes.
thinks of a question.
Yeah, well, yes and no. So I didn't necessarily base any of the characters in the first book directly off of people. I based interactions off real life people. So like the way that I interact with my friends are some of the ways that the main character interacts with his friends. The way that I've interacted with some of my brothers, I come from I have 5 siblings. So the way that he interacts with his brother is very similar with the way that I've interacted in the past with some of my brothers. So I draw experience from real life in terms of that. Funny enough, when I write love interests in the story, they do tend to be based off of some of my exes. Like this character, like a character will have like a couple of traits of this particular ex, and this character will have a couple of traits about this particular ex. A lot of times they die. It has nothing to do with the fact that they're exes. It's just
I have a sign
it
on
serves
my
the
door
story.
that says warning. If you come in here, I will write you into my story and most likely kill you. So I write horror, so I do kill people. So
Sure.
if you want to really piss me off, I will fucking eviscerate you in fiction. That's
So the Kickstarter that I've done the last 2 years, I always have a goal where it says you can die in the next book. And last time I had 3 people take me up on it. And so they've all died wonderful deaths in the second book. And then for the current Kickstarter, another 3 people. One of them is the same from the last one. He now has a goal where he wants to, like Kenny, die in every book in the series, except for the first one, because we didn't do a Kickstarter for the very first one. And then 2 other people were like, yeah, I want to die in the book. And I'm like, okay, you'll die pretty horribly, but that's fine. So they look at it more like a fun thing, like, hey, I get to die in the book. Now, my one coworker, he was telling my other coworkers, like, yeah, because I opened a meeting with, hey, we just finished your death page today. And he's like, in a book. It's in a book, everybody. It's in a book.
That's okay. I write humorous erotica as well. And there have been people from my past that go, is that me? And I'm like, maybe. Yes.
Possible.
Yes, that's you. I don't necessarily treat them well in the book. Valerie, on that note, what is your epic final question?
Epic final question. If you could be a main character in any
Oh my God, did you steal somebody else's
I did.
I'm gonna let him answer. This doesn't
What
fucking
questions
count.
have we asked? I'm
No.
leaving this podcast.
No, I'm gonna let him answer this. I'm gonna finish it, but you better
What
think
was
of a
the
better
question?
fucking question.
If you could be a main character in from any book or movie or TV series, who would it be? Who's
No,
life
but you
would
have to
live?
live their life.
You have to
Have
live
to
your
live their whole
life.
life.
You have to live their story.
Yes.
And now think of a fucking question that is not stealing from somebody else, Valerie.
Man, a character whose life I'd like to live, a main character even, because a lot of times the main character goes through a lot of shit. Man, what's so random, the things that pop into your brain while you're trying to think of things. Like, I literally thought of the movie Richie Rich. I haven't thought of that movie in like 15, 20 years. Why did Richie Rich pop up in my fucking head? You know what? I got it.
To do.
The Ghostbusters. Pick any of the 4 main characters. I'd be happy to be any of them.
Oh, please tell me you want to be Venkman, because I feel like
Venkman is a psychologist, so that makes sense. But he's in the first movie, he's a little rapey. Like why bring the sleeping meds to your first date? That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, it's like, why you? But Venkman is my favorite character.
I was about to say, you pick the most obscure parts of shit.
I know, right? It's just like the whatever I focus on. But yeah,
take a poll right now, but we're not fucking live. Just say how many people even fucking remember that in the movie.
No one. No.
To be fair, my girlfriend hadn't even seen that. She's 30. She's never seen that movie. We watched it a few months ago, and she had to cover her eyes because she thought the chair part was too scary. Like, she cannot watch anything even remotely scary. We watch What We Do in the Shadows, and she covers her eyes every time there's a blood spray. So I mean, literally,
God, like What We Do in the Shadows. It's
I know, me too.
A brilliant fucking show. Okay, Valerie, you better have a fucking original question.
Original question. Okay. You mentioned earlier that you really wanted to take a deep dive in Egyptian mythology and history as part of your thing. What is your favorite Egyptian mythology or entity?
Well, and he appears in the 4th book. I would say Anubis. He's just cool. Like, he's the overseer of the afterlife, so to speak, and he's the person who judges you when you go to die. And he doesn't rip, but he pulls your heart out and weighs it against a feather, and then it's all based on really guilt more than anything else, like to determine, like, if you go to the good place or the bad place in terms of Egyptian afterlife.
I have a funny Anubis story.
Okay.
So because I'm not afraid to talk about my age, one of my very first boyfriends, who I met on an online bulletin board back when I had a 9200 baud modem, because I was a fucking rock star.
Okay.
Had the handle Anubis.
Oh,
and I used to say it wrong all the time. I used to say Anubis. Well, it was just written for me, and this is really before the internet was a big thing.
That's fair. That's fair. Don't forget to sign up for your Anubis.
Yeah. Anubis.
Could be a shot, could be a lecture, could be anything really.
I was like, what is Anubis when I talk to him? And he's like, Anubis? And I'm like, and then I was like, oh, okay. Hooked on phonics. You gotta love that.
Working on Pahonics. Working for me.
Okay. So shameless self-promotion time, my friend.
All righty. So you can find me on all social media at World's Most Okayest DM. Mostly I'm on Instagram. Mostly anybody cares on Instagram because I post pictures of my Newfie Yoshi. She's a big, fluffy, goofy dog. You can also find me on a podcast called Botched, a D&D podcast. It's an improv comedy show draped in the loose skin of Dungeons and Dragons with a little bit of drinking involved as well. You can find that Botched, a D&D podcast on all your podcatchers. Literally anything that you use to listen to podcasts, you can find our show. For my personal stuff, if you want to check out my comic book, Lycan, Solomon's Odyssey, the story of the world's first werewolf, you can check that out on hiveheadstudios.com. Hive as in like beehive. There is a free sample of the free 18-page digital sample of the book if you want to check it out. There's also a full digital version of the book. You can also get physical copies of the book on there as well. And then soon you'll be able to pre-order the second book. Once I get that set up, we're just trying to finalize things. The Kickstarter just ended for the second book. I also have a Patreon called patreon.com/hiveheadstudios, where you get access to a Discord, because who doesn't have a Discord these days? You also get previews of the next book in terms of art and things coming in. And there's also a podcast called Like and Subscribe that we do for our patrons, where myself and Charles McFall sit down and we just sort of go into the ins and outs, behind the scenes, trials and tribulations of trying to make comics. So check that out over patreon.com/hiveheadstudios.
I'm very impressed with the amount of twisted tea that you pulled all of that off the same way. You can tell you've done that. Writers out there, learn from him. You should know your shameless self-promotion plug, regardless of how much fucking alcohol you have. Okay, guys, this has been Drinking with Authors, the Literary Briefs edition. I have been your host, Erica Lance. Our sponsor today has been Skunk Brother Spirits. Since you're listening or watching us, please like or subscribe. We need that. And since you've been drinking along with us, please leave us a drunk review. We would appreciate it. If you're sober, you can leave us a sober review, but review us. We'd like it. And my co-host today has been the now pleasantly beyond intoxicated.
Plastered.
For about another 30 minutes, she'll be asleep. Valerie Willis with her apple Moscato. And our guest has been Dennis Robinson. And we will see you guys next time.